Come on, feel the noise. Girls, rock your boys. Alright. I am Frosty the Songman, and it is January 19th. I'll review that Quiet Riot album later. Today we're not doing Quiet Riot, although that's a cool album. Forget the name of it. Mental Health, I think. Anyway, January 19th, 2019. It's a cold winter day. Expecting some more weather tonight. It's going to be high of 20-something Monday, so we're in the dead of winter here. Let me do a little bit of music history. Four important people, well, probably more. I'm just going to highlight these four people. These four people in pop music were born today. Janis Joplin in 1943, Dolly Parton in 1946, Phil Everly of the Everly Brothers in 1939, and I will review some Everly Brothers too, because it's pretty cool stuff. Also the Louvin Brothers. I don't know if anybody out there has heard of the Louvin Brothers. Louvin, but that's a really cool early country act that influenced a lot of country artists. All right, Phil Everly, born in this day, 1939, and Robert Palmer, born in 1949. He was the one with the big hit, Might as well face it, you're addicted to love. Anyway, today I am reviewing an album by this man. He is Chris Bell, and this is the album I'm reviewing. I Am the Cosmos. There he is. I think that's the Swiss Alps. He went over to Europe to record most of this album. A couple tracks were recorded in Memphis, Tennessee. But Chris Bell was born on January 12th, 1951 in Memphis, Tennessee. He was in the band called Big Star, which formed in the early 70s, and that was his biggest claim to fame. They released 3 albums, well, really, I guess 4 if you count the 2005 album, but 3 core albums in the early 70s. All 3 of these were from the early 70s. Number 1 record, which is very good. I'm going to review that one. I would definitely get Big Star number 1 record. Big Star, Radio City, another excellent album. Totally recommend that one. And then their last one of that period, it's called, some people call it Third, some people call it Sister Lovers, or a lot of time you see Third/Sister Lovers. That was a little bit different album, but I would recommend that one too. I wish I would have grabbed those, but I don't have them near me. So yeah, and then in 2005 they kind of got back together and released one called In Space, and I actually saw them in New York City for that tour of In Space. I didn't buy the album. I should have, to kind of get familiarized with myself with the songs, but I just went to the show. It was in a bar in New York City, to be right in front of Big Star with Alex Chilton right in front of me. That was really cool. I'm glad I got to see them. What the? I've been hanging around this class, and everybody in it speaks bad English. So at first it was a joke, man, I'm gonna be speaking some wrong English when I get out of here. And now I feel like I am. I've been around it so much. My English was perfect before then. Okay, so Chris Bell was playing in garage bands in the 1960s. He was heavily influenced by the British invasion bands like the Beatles, the Who, Yardbirds, the Kinks, Small Faces. He played with Big Star for a few years. There's 3 albums they released, and yeah, it was a excellent, very, very British rock influences, which is one of the reasons why I love it. Big Star has a lot of cool harmonies. They have a cool sound to them. The drummer is just really laid back, and I think the drummer is one of the main people in that band that make the Big Star sound. But everything is great about it. I love Big Star. And actually, I had this crush on this woman, and that's how I found out about Big Star. I was in New York City, and I met this woman, and it was unrequited love. She never really wanted to do anything much with me. I mean, I was like a friend of hers, but I wanted more out of the relationship. But anyway, she came to see my band a few times, and she told me about this band, Big Star. Like, yeah, you guys kind of remind me of Big Star. And I'm like, Big Star? Who is that? I can't believe I haven't heard of them. And who is this woman that's got this cool band that me, the big, rock star, doesn't know about? I wasn't a rock star, but, I'm supposed to know about all this stuff. And here it is, this woman telling me about this awesome band. It's almost like some woman told me about, The Who or something. Like, hey, have you ever heard of The Who? They're this pretty good band. Anyway, so I learned about this band through her, and I was listening to it in her apartment. It was just like, oh, this is great. I'm with her, and I'm listening to this great music. And but yeah, we never went out, and it was, yeah. That's another story. All right, so the third album was kind of when you could hear the album, they're kind of breaking up. I mean, I think they were having problems, maybe some arguments within the band. And when you hear the band, that album, Sister Lovers, it sounds more like it's a band falling apart. But don't let that discourage you from buying it. I mean, that being said, it's a really cool album. It's almost, somebody once wrote about it, it's a document of a band falling apart. That's what you're listening to. Rolling Stone reviewer described it as beautiful and disturbing. So bear in mind, this is not the album I'm reviewing now. I'm just talking about the third Big Star album, which Chris Bell played on. So yeah, even the third album, even though they were falling apart, it's still a lot of beauty in that album. Although if I was on a desert island, I would probably prefer the first, couple albums of Big Star. All right, so Bell. So anyway, this last album, because it was kind of loose and not very commercial sounding, the Jim Dickinson, the guy that Jim Dickinson, the producer of that album, flew to New York, and he was trying to shop the album to a lot of record companies, but nobody wanted to release it. Nobody wanted to buy it. So it was a disappointing end for Big Star. Big Star just fell apart after that because they just couldn't get enough interest in record companies. They weren't selling enough of their other records either to show that, they have great promise, which is a shame because the albums are really great. Chris Bell quit the band in 1972, went over to Europe, and this was at a time when he was getting into Christianity and getting into his spiritual side. And he also wanted to develop his solo career, and he kind of picked Europe as a place to do that. So he went over there, was traveling around. Like I said, I went to the Swiss Alps, took this picture. He traveled around. I think he went to Berlin, and he was in England. And like I say, France is where this album was recorded. So I'll show you a little bit of the inside of this album. This is my John Wayne DVD collection I just found at a used store. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing some John Wayne movies. Anyway, that's Chris Bell in A Solitary Moment. The inside notes, I think it's written by a family member of Chris's. I don't know if it's his brother or something, but it's really, really good. It's a really great story of Chris and his final years. The trip to Berlin. So that's him around the time of the recording. That's the people that played on the album. If you want to pause the screen, feel free. Okay, so yeah. On the early morning of let me go back. He recorded this album. He was he was in a depressed mood. He was going through depression when he was over there in Europe. It probably had to do with Big Star folding. He was trying to find himself spiritually. So this album has a very yearning feeling to it, a searching, yearning feeling, both for meaning in his life, in his personal life, and also in the grand scheme of things. You can listen to that, you can hear that and feel it. And this album almost makes me cry. Some songs, I hear it. I mean, just knowing, because I've gone through depression in my life, and just knowing what he was going through and trying to get it out through his music. It's a very cathartic album to listen to. So yeah, they recorded it. I don't think too many people were interested in releasing the album. I mean, it might have been released on some small label, but it was by no means a hit. So Chris went back to working in Memphis for his family owned a few restaurants. They were kind of like fast food restaurants. And so he just went back to help manage the restaurants, and he didn't really do much music after this. I mean, he did music once in a while. He may go into the studio once every few months to record something. But he really kind of just left his music career and was working for his family's restaurant business. And then so the early morning of December 27th, 1978, returning from rehearsal with his new band. So, I mean, he was in a band, but he just, he was doing it more on the side, music on the side, and trying to, get a real job, which I know what that's about too. His car struck a telephone pole on Poplar Avenue in Memphis, just a half mile from his dad's restaurant, and he died instantly. Very, very sad ending to his life. I'm going to play a few of these songs. Let me plug this in. You got to have wood paneling in the man cave. Otherwise, it's not a man cave. All right. I like about every single song on this album. There's a great opener. I Am the Cosmos.
Every night I tell myself I am the cosmos. I am the wind. I don't get you back up again. Just when I was starting to feel okay, you're on the phone.
Love that song. Here's Better Save Yourself.
I'm on the streets. I'm home. I just can't leave.
Fast forward it.
I know I tried it twice.
All right, number 3, Speed of Sound. Very beautiful song. The ballads on this album are very beautiful.
I remember the first time you said you loved me. I waited all weekend. You never called me.
Wow, that sounds like that relationship I had with that girl in New York. All right, number 4, Get Away. This rocks. A little bit too much delay on that snare drum, but oh well. This is one of my favorite songs on the album. It's called You and Your Sister. Another little bit of trivia from Big Star. They used an album.
Say my love for you ain't real.
They used a song from Big Star on that '70s show.
But you don't know how real it feels.
I think the song was called "In the Street."
All I want to do is to spend some time with you, so I can hold you, hold you.
Yeah, one of the best songs on the album. This is called "Make a Scene." Cool song. This is called "Look Up." I like this one a lot too. It's like he knows he's depressed and he's writing a song for himself.
Now you'll see the sky. Look up, look up. He's the light.
Great song. This is number 8. I got kind of lost. Almost has a 1960s rock and roll feel. This is number 9. There Was a Light. Pretty cool song.
There was a light so dear to me.
It's got that John Lennon solo album drum sound.
I wanted to live. There was a time.
Cool song. This is number 10. Flight at the Table. I'll skip this one. Number 11. I Don't Know. I love the feel of this. Does it get any better than this? Whatever it is you're thinking.
Sit down and let's give it a try. You know that I always listen, but sometimes I wonder why. You don't lie to me,
And I won't lie to you, oh no.
but baby I'm feeling low. I
Don't know what I'm going to do. I gotta think of you too. I gotta get away from you.
once in a while you're lonely. Tell me
Again, with many videos I make, I can't even cut the radio off. I can't stop it. I love this so much. Anyway, Chris Bell. It's actually recorded on the Rykodisc label. You know, many years after his death, it was released on Ryko. Yeah, get it. I Am the Cosmos. It's definitely got a dated sound to it, but the strength of the songwriting, the strength of the performance, it's well worth it. Frosty the Songman, signing out.